William Shakespeare was as interesting a character in life as he was in death. Shakespeare vowed a curse on any person attempting to dig his remains up, as was customary in those times in order to make room for additional remains. Based on my research of William Shakespeare, I have learned many advanced topics related to the writer and his work. William Shakespeare molded future literature and contributed to even today's literary work. During the minutes that follow, I will speak to the timelessness and enchantment of Shakespeare's literary work. The contributions that William Shakespeare made to literature, even in this century, are vast and some yet unexplored. I would like to begin with a background on the author. According to Peter Ackroyd in Shakespeare's The Biography, William Shakespeare was born in England in his parents' home. His birth date is unknown. His plays began being produced around 1589. Shakespeare died in 1616, and the legend of his famous curse is still of interest and of note today. In comparison with today's plays and literature, Shakespeare's work is considered that of a master. Today, there are many films that are modern-day versions of Shakespeare's plays. There are songs written with references to his characters, and there are productions of his plays in cities around the world. According to James Shapiro in the book A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare, 1599, during the late 1500s, Shakespeare's plays were being performed all around England. His plays were somewhat controversial during that time. Shakespeare himself was also a figure of controversy, as he was thought to have been part of a conspiracy to overthrow the current ruler of England. Several of his plays, including King Richard II, and each of his Henry plays were even thought to have been directly related to his opposition of the King of England. According to Stephen Greenblatt in the book In the World, How Shakespeare Became Shakespeare, since the time of Shakespeare, scholars have debated his contributions to the literary world. Today, there are college classes devoted solely to his work, and the debate rages on. Many scholars consider his work to be either unimportant or incompetent. However, there are scholars around the world who not only celebrate his contributions to modern literature, but live by it. The scholars in the world who seem to find Shakespeare's work to be unimportant cite that there is not a full conclusion as to the origin of his plays. It cannot be proven that Shakespeare actually wrote the plays. This point is often refuted in debates, and the debates will rage on in the scholarly literary world. Shakespeare's works are used often in today's cinema. Many current movies based on his plays, such as 10 Things I Hate About You, are performed. His plays are performed continually around the world on both large and small screens. There are entire playhouses dedicated to performing his works, and movies that are recreations of his plays are continually produced. Shakespeare's impact on modern literature can be felt in many of today's works. His plays are still read in classrooms all around the world, and children in public schools are still required to read and study his works. Whether a person is one that denies the contributions of Shakespeare or a person who embraces the contributions of Shakespeare, one thing is clear. Shakespeare's works did have an impact on the modern world. As you can see, William Shakespeare is both celebrated and denounced. In creating his literary works, he helped to mold future literature and cinema as well as education, and the mystique surrounding him will continue to be a topic of conversation in educational institutions and everyday conversations around the world.